Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Hello, it is Friday the 13th. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Welcome in to the Morning Manifesto, a live call-in show. Welcome in, everybody. I hope everybody had a great evening last evening. Welcome into the show. It is Feminist Friday. Uh, is the TikTok working? Yeah, it's working. Okay. We are live with a list of topics. So good morning, TikTok. Good morning, Twitch. Good morning to everybody. Good morning, YouTube. Topics on the board this morning. Women make better leaders than men. Men don't want wives. They want mommies, maids, and nannies. And USA/MAGA hate women. Those are our topics this morning for Feminist Friday. I'm fucking dog tired. I also ordered brekkie, so I hope that gets here soon. We're currently waiting on our... Oh, shit. Caitlin, thank you so much for the Cash App. Thank you for the $20 Cash App, Caitlin. Morning Manifesto gets me up in the mornings. Well, I'm glad it gets somebody up in the mornings. I think I might need to start waking up earlier for our Morning Manifesto dreams, because I am just always rolling out of bed like, damn. Remember, it is the Morning Manifesto, so when it comes to friendlies in the box, we are going to prioritize femme voices. I don't know where Alina is. Someone send the live to Alina. Is Alina still asleep? Is Alina under her weighted blanket sleeping? Do I need to start giving Alina a wake-up call? Yo, Javon, do you get many apps for the new editor? Oh, yeah, I should talk about that. I did hire a new editor. So the application process is done. If you did not hear, then I'm sorry. But I did choose somebody from the applications that I got. So I didn't get many applications, so not many people wanted an editing job, a paid editing gig, but I got somebody. So we do have somebody that's going to be editing my short form content, which means I'll be able to be streaming a bit more because I got someone to edit my short form content. Hey, yo, Galax, thank you for the sub over on Twitch for your 8th month. Shout out to you. Well, I was going to keep the application up longer, but somebody sent in stuff and they were really good. And I was like, well, you know what? Let's go with it. Right. Adriel, thank you for the $100 dono, bro. Friend. I don't know your pronouns, but oh my God, thank you. Getting us started early. Sheesh. Nah, you'll be at Disney World. Okay, well, that's not untrue. Everybody give a big W to Adriel. Jeez. Slapping. I like how somebody said women are more emotional and less analytical than men. This is not true. Women have a higher emotional intelligence, so they're more able to better understand the emotions that they do get, whereas men have a lower emotional intelligence on average than women. Men are not able to properly process their emotions, and this leads to things like outbursts, things like violence, things like that, because men have a lower emotional intelligence. Nope, conservatives predominantly do not want wives because conservatives don't want to share the bulk of the household. And USA and MAGA are the only ones who know men aren't women. Everybody knows men aren't women. What? We'll see if we hit the rest of that goal today. We're super close now because of Adriel. Where is Alina? You know, I need to get Alina's phone number, so in moments like this I can give her a call, because Feminist Fridays are Alina's domain. I'm not supposed to be in control of Feminist Fridays. Alina's in control of Feminist Fridays. Conservatives don't want wives. Conservatives want nannies. Conservatives want someone to look after their kids while they can go off to work. And then when they get home, they can do nothing. Super simple. It's super, super obvious. Gino, thank you for becoming a sub over on the TikTok. Thank you so much, Gino. Now, there are a few things that did happen. We can do some new stuff while we wait for Lena. First of all, we probably should talk about the fact that Time magazine named Trump Person of the Year again. Largely symbolic. You know, Person of the Year just goes to who they think had the biggest impact in the globe. Personally, I think it probably should have been Benny Netanyahu's. I think he's done more damage to the globe this year. I think he's been a more significant figure in the world this year. Not for a good reason. Not for a good reason. But I do think he's been a bit more significant. But, you know, when you everybody remember, Person of the Year is not a good. Hitler won Person of the Year, right? Person of the Year is not a good or bad. Person of the Year is just who they think had the biggest impact. But again, I think it should have been like Netanyahu, personally. Yeah, Wheezy, you're not gonna want to be in YouTube chat for that long, I promise you, friend. What's your girlfriend's boyfriend think about your opinion? I hope he likes it. I hope he's watching. It's more money in my pocket. So personally, I think, like, we can look at a list of like who they've had as Person of the Year, but you know, when it's oftentimes not great. Often. YouTube chat is brutal. YouTube chat is just a bunch of children. I genuinely think most of them are under the age of 18. Free Palestine from Hamas. Yeah, that's what we need to be doing. Sure, yeah. Spell Hamas. How does women make better leaders than men? Well, one, they can spell. Two, again, women have a higher emotional intelligence than men on average. So women are better able to regulate emotions. And I would prefer somebody who's better able to regulate their emotions, recognize their emotions, and then be able to introspectively look at those emotions as somebody that should be in charge. I think people also, it's really interesting that they're like, well, women shouldn't be in charge, but they want women to raise their kids. So like, it's so funny. Oh, I don't have the call-in line open. Let's open up the call-in line. Remember, if you disagree on Twitch, you can send a guest request. If you disagree on YouTube, I'll open up the call-in line. You can call in. I'm really hoping some of my co-hosts show up before my breakfast gets here, because my plan was to let the ladies take over so I could eat breakfast. Define a woman. My definition of woman is too complex that your simple brain would not understand it. Yes, women can absolutely manage emotions better than men. 100%. 1,000%. 1,000,000%. Fat Man, thank you for the Venmo. Said, do you have any idea on how to shut down a misogynistic MAGA woman? Not respectfully. It just depends on what they're talking about, right? Like, I think when we look at like misogyny as a tool, oftentimes you'll see women or femme voices pushing misogynistic ideals, and this is mainly because they believe that their proximity to men will keep them away from oppressive harm. There's actually a really good book that talked a little bit about this. It's called A Brief History of Trans Misogyny. And in the book, they talk about how white women specifically will side with sexism and misogynistic men because they believe it to be a shield. But yeah. Usually if you check their hairline, remember, we can't talk about their hairline in the UK anymore, because men got so butthurt about being called bald that they got it legally marked as sexism. It's sexual harassment if you call a man bald. Remember this, chat. Men are so fragile that they made it so that if you call them bald in the UK, it can be considered sexual harassment. This is not a joke. I wish this was a joke. I wish this was a joke. I truly do. I truly wish I was fibbing, but I'm not. Men are that fragile. They are that fragile. Someone said, that's not true. You want to bet? How much? Let's go here. James Welsh, how much money are you willing to bet that this is true? How much money? I'd like to know. Legitimately, I'll put money on the line. If I'm wrong, I'll pay you. Give me a number. Let's see the big, strong man back up the shit he says. $500? I'll put $500 on it right now. 500. Zero. That confidence went away real fast, bro. That confidence went away real fast. Did you guys see how quickly a man's confidence disappeared? Did you see how quickly the confidence disappeared? Hey, do me a favor, James. I just want you to, and this will be super quick. I promise. I'm just wondering if you can read this headline real quick for me. I'm just wondering if you can read that headline. It's just a thought, just an exercise in exorcisms. If you can read that headline for me. I'll do it. Don't worry. I'll do it. I know you can't read. Calling a man bald is sexual harassment. High court rules. Oh, damn. That's crazy. A judge has said using the word about a man could breach equality laws because it is inherently related to gender. It follows a lengthy legal case brought by the electrician Tony Finn, who claimed it had been sexually harassed by his boss during a heated row in 2019. Oh, shit. Wow. That's crazy. I was right. Hey, chat. Help me out here. Chat. How often am I proven right in these instances? Yes, calling a woman bald would be okay in this case. Oh, okay, always. Thank you, chat. Thank you. I just needed to know. Now, James, are you going to double down or are you going to admit you were wrong? What do we think, Chad? Do we think he's going to double down? Or do we think he's going to admit he was wrong? You can't even define a woman. He doubled down, chat. He doubled down, chat. Why? Because let's remember, conservatives cannot address when they are incorrect about something. So instead of going, I was wrong, he doubled down. Isn't that hilarious? Isn't that what we all expected to happen? Personally, I don't like to be embarrassed like that. But, you know, it's okay. It's okay. As we know, men are insanely fragile. They are so fragile that they can't even admit that they're wrong. They can't even admit to themselves and to a room full of people that they were incorrect about something because they are fragile. They are fragile creatures whose egos must be stroked at all hours of the day. And if they are not currently having their egos stroked, they fold. They get so defensive every time. Like, look at them coping and seething. Now, any one of these men could call in. They all see the number. But the reason why most of them won't is because men don't actually like to have their ideals pushed. They don't actually like to have their stances argued with, because the fragility of men is like a feather. What's the most fragile thing on the planet? Like, what do we think? What's the most fragile, like, item? like material? What do we think? They're handling emotions so well. Well, now James is screaming in the comments that he admits he was wrong. Don't know why he needs to scream. Oh shit. Why am I doing that?
Hello?
Yellow, you here to have a conversation?
Yes, I am. I'm actually watching right now.
Great. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
I'm James. I'm 35. My pronouns are he, him, his.
Okay, James, do you disagree with the topics on the board?
Uh, Pretty much, I actually agree with them. From my experience as a millennial, like talking about the election, I've I remember so many MAGA people were saying that Kamala Harris would run on the so-called woke agenda, but really, when you look at it, she didn't run on anything that was considered woke. She actually I mean, I've seen Republicans who like remember the '90s and early 2000s, and they said that she ran almost as if a Republican from the '90s and early 2000s ran, and I just feel that the way it is, these men are just so scared to admit that there's a possibility that a woman could be a better leader than any man whatsoever.
Well, you want to know. Oh, hold on. I got to reset the TikTok, everybody. I'll just reset the TikTok real quick. This happens for some reason. I get a phone call and the TikTok wigs out and I have to reset it. It's okay. But to answer what you're saying, James, I think you're 100% correct. Kamala Harris ran a pretty center of the aisle campaign. Kamala Harris didn't really run on almost anything quote unquote woke. The issue that I tend to have is that when we look at the way that people voted, right, we see that it was primarily white men who voted for Donald Trump. And I think the biggest reason of this is going to be some level of misogynoir. I mean, one of the largest things said about Kamala Harris coming from the right is that she wasn't black, right? This is like inherently misogynoir. So I think that played a big role in why white men and white women predominantly voted for Trump, whereas I think the reason why other people didn't vote for Harris is going to be mostly her inability to effectively condemn the Palestinian genocide. And so what we saw was a large group of people just didn't vote, and I believe most of them would have voted for her had she have been more staunch in a condemnation against Israel. Also, Wheezy, if you're still watching, answer my Discord message, please, so I can buy my plane ticket. Por favor.
Well, I'm watching on YouTube. I'm watching on my TV. I don't know what because all I see is the Feminist Friday Manifesto. What is the Discord question?
Oh no. Sorry, I was responding to. I was talking to somebody else who's watching the stream.
Oh,
But yeah, no, I would say for the most part I agree. I think, like I said, the predominant the prevailing narrative that saw was during the last election was a lot of misogynoir, and I think that misogynoir like eked into a lot of things.
and that's a big millennial. Like growing up, I saw so many people, even people I went to school with, who were taught to be misogynist, especially by their parents. I have several friends who were, I remember their mothers even taught them, look for a woman who is exact like me, who will never question you, do what you tell them. And basically, the mothers and even fathers, especially brainwashing a lot of friends I personally know, saying, a man has to be in control and a woman should never be because she's too emotional, so to speak. And I think that also goes into your second point. Men don't want wives, they want mommies, maids, and nannies. I think there are some people who either are brainwashed by their parents or maybe look at old-fashioned things from the 50s and 60s and think that's the way it should be. And they don't really, and I believe that they're too scared to admit, one, that their parents could possibly be wrong in how they raise them, but also like that's just not the world we live in anymore.
Also, good morning, Alina.
Good morning.
Glad you woke up.
Morning.
Glad you're here.
We were up late playing reindeer games.
Okay. Fair enough. But yeah, guess it seems like we predominantly agree, so I do want to open the call-in line up for disagreeers, but thank you for calling in.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Alina, welcome into Feminist Fridays. You know the drill. This is your show on Fridays.
We love that. We love to see it.
I've been chilling. I've been making the YouTube men pretty angry so far.
Oh yeah? How did you do that?
By having these topics on the board.
By existing.
Yeah, basically. So the call-in line is open. Alina is here. If anybody wants to send a guest request to be on the panel, make sure you are a femme voice. We do prioritize femme voices on Fridays. If you are a friend who wants to come up, Alina will decide who gets to come up into the request with them. That's how that game works. If you disagree, you can call in. If you're not scared, but it seems like most of the men in the YouTube chat are scared, crazy to say you're alphas, and then be too afraid to pick up a phone. Funny how that works.
It's very suspicious.
Very suspicious. My also my breakfast should get here soon. Yeah.
What'd you get?
I got panclocks. Panclocks and some eggs and sausage. Hello, are you here to have a conversation?
Yep.
Hello?
Is this like an actual thing? Hello?
Is this an actual thing? What does that mean?
Oh, sorry. I think your stream's like a little bit delayed for me. Anyway.
Okay. Were you here to chat?
Yeah, I was 100% here to chat.
All right. Can I just get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
So my name and my pronoun is, like, I didn't identify for the longest time. My name's Robert.
Okay, Robert, age and pronouns?
My age is 26.
Okay.
My pronoun is he, him.
Okay.
Not one of them ladies.
All right. What do you disagree with the topics on the board?
So my disagreement with the topic on the board is, like, I don't know, like you kind of delve into a lot of things where it's like people, like, here, I'm trying to load the screen back up. God damn it.
What just happened?
What the fuck was that? Okay. All right. That was surely something. They hung up.
So why are the chairs only at 8? That's why we don't have that many people in here, guys.
8 shares. Chat is slacking. Y'all don't really want the show to happen, do you? You know, I guess if y'all don't want the show to happen, then that's fine. You guys don't actually want guests in the box. Tisk, tisk, tisk. There we go. Well, if anybody else disagrees, the call-in line is wide open. Do I normally stream this early? Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to like 10 or 10:30 or 11. Sometime between 10 and 11 is when I usually end. This is our morning stream, Morning Manifesto. One more Jess. I don't know where Jess is today. I don't know where many of our friends or ops are today.
Well,
woke is going down. That's why.
Kristen was up real late. I did ask her if she could come today.
Kristen's in a live right now. I think she's on.
She's
I think
still
she's
there?
I think she's with in Pickles live.
She's still there. She's supposed to be here.
Yeah, I see
Man,
her.
she was up
I
all
see her in my
night.
live.
That's crazy.
Listen,
Someone go over there and tell her.
I
What's up?
just feel. You know what? I'll talk about that to you in private. Never mind. I'm not gonna say anything.
What?
I'm not gonna say nothing.
No, say it.
No. I don't want to start. I don't want to start any beefs. There are no beefs. I actually think Pickles is great. I actually think he's one of the better people on the app. I just think you know.
Say it.
No.
It's something that I've said before online.
I just feel like certain voices get amplified in the app, and those voices tend to be more of the ivory the ivory complexion, you know?
Oh yeah. I've said it before. Mediocre cishet white men. Yeah.
You know, I fight the algorithm and shadow bans pretty consistently. And half the time we're saying the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I just think palm colored people tend to get pushed out a little bit more, you know?
Yeah.
That's all. But again, I actually like Pickles. I think Pickles pretty chill.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said, so you're racist and sexist. Yep. Sure. Whatever you say. Can't be racist to white people, but okay. You got requests? I don't handle the requests on Feminist. I don't do anything on Feminist Friday. Is Alina's beast. The only thing I handle is a call. If we get a call, I'll answer the call because Alina physically can't.
All right, let's see. I'm looking for ops. Dippity doodah.
Do I go on other people's lives? Not usually. What's up, guest? Do you disagree with topics on the board?
Yeah. Well, not entirely. More a question for Alina on the USA MAGA hates women. Uh, my name's T. He, him, and I'm 29.
Before we get into it, I just want to respond to chat. Chat said, "Why can't you be racist to white people? Black people can't be racist to white people because race requires a level of prejudice, and prejudice requires a form of hatred that does not stem from any like factual information. But black people have like literally hundreds of that, almost 1,000 years of reasons why they should be prejudiced towards people that are white, because whiteness has historically destroyed blackness for centuries. So that's one of the reasons why black people cannot be racist towards white people. Second would be race requires a power, and there is no power. Black people can be racially discriminatory toward white people, sure, but they can't be racist. Anyway,
racism requires the power dynamic.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Dippity. Tell us what you disagree with.
And less so disagree, more so I'm looking for some clarification on the USA MAGA hating women. I guess I would argue that as opposed to hating women, it's more of a sense of like hating femininity. But I guess I was looking for some other opinions about it.
What's the distinction?
Well, and let me use an example. I like football. I don't know if you're familiar with the quarterback for the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams. He paints his fingernails. And I remember when they were going to draft him, like everybody that I was talking to about it, that were the generic guys, were like, "Oh, I don't know about him. He's kind of soft and things like that." And I think that this, and again, I'm more so asking as opposed to stating. It's just the femininity of is something that people hate, that the USA hates more so than women in general.
Oh, we also got a call in that we got to add to the mix, guys. 1 second.
Does it get paid less for it?
Femininity.
Oh, never mind. They hung up. Continue.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand the question.
Yeah, like he paints his nails, but he's still a dude, right? So is he
Yeah,
getting
no, no,
paid
no.
less
And
because
I
he
was
paints
just
his
using that
nails?
as an example. I'm not sorry. I apologize. Didn't mean to cut you off.
The point is that it's that he's not getting paid less, right? Because he paints his nails. Like he's still, you know, most people would say the epitome of a male job, right? Being in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. Yeah. I guess my question is more so on like, is it women or is it femininity? I mean, like, I think it kind of goes into like the gay space of like, I think that like a lot of men that I know, I'm from the Midwest, and so I know that there are a lot of like blue collar working class men who have gay friends that are just not necessarily uh, inherently feminine, and so it's like one of those things that again, I'm not saying that that the hatred isn't there. I was saying maybe more that there's a distinction between um, women and femininity. Like I think that is what I'm trying to get at.
Like, I have a question. If Lena wants, if Lena
Yeah.
wants to say something. And also, hi, Lena.
Hi.
Um, why do you think that there is an uh, aversion to femininity?
Um, I think personally, just generally, toxic patriarchy, the idea that femininity equals weakness in people's minds, and that's not something I personally believe in. But I mean, I can't really put my mind in the place of the people that feel it. It's just something that I feel like I've noticed.
Okay, so then if it's a patriarchal thought process and toxic patriarchy, then it is because it is associated with women.
Yeah, it very realistically, it's just something that I feel like the it kind of gets into like those situations in which the women who are quote unquote in those stereotypical positions. I've seen that they kind of yeah, what's the right? There's a term here. I just can't remember it. Um, about the it's in regards to like the minorities in television, like the Urkel or something. I think is what where it came from, where it was like the the perfect minority or something along those lines. I can't remember, but
You're talking
in the
about the
sense that they
model
fit the
minority?
mold of. I'm sorry.
The model minority myth?
Model man, yes, thank you, I appreciate it.
That's
Yeah, and so and unfortunately, a very the model feminine process, the model woman, so on. So to kind of steal the comparison there, I guess I was more so just asking out of looking for some other opinions on it because I mean I truly have no I can't say that I understand why men hate femininity so much. I mean I identify as a man and I don't hate femininity. I would say that I can embody plenty of elements of that, but I've noticed that it's less of um, women in general, more so just femininity as a concept that I've seen a lot of hatred from.
the concept of femininity has hatred because it is associated with women. And the concept of femininity isn't hated towards men unless femininity is no longer looked at as property.
Okay, yeah.
And that's also with the model minority myth, that's not really how that works, but we'll go into that later. But the whole point that I was making is that the reason why a man would get flack for painting his nails is because, like, that is seen as a feminine trait, and men are not supposed to do feminine traits. because women are only supposed to do feminine traits, because men don't see themselves as in control of other men as they see themselves in control of women.
Okay. And so essentially saying like the control is really the element of the hatred as opposed to okay. I think I understand.
More so the lack of control, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, the fact that there's not a so I mean removing the terms from it, essentially saying like the regardless if you use women if we went to a different planet or something and just and changed the word or something of woman is the issue still. Okay, I yeah, no, 100%. That makes way more sense. I appreciate I appreciate it. That made a lot more sense to my point then. So I don't know if I need to say you've quote unquote won, but you have if that changed my mind.
W. Sean.
I'm sorry.
I said W. Sean.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I appreciate. Oh, I was in live yesterday, and I did want to say I don't remember. There was that guy who was mansplaining
Oh God.
how to talk to incels, um, and I think y'all did a really great job of communicating that. I was really enjoy seeing the toxicity of the men on the left kind of punch down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know that we did a good job explaining it because I don't think it clicked for him, but maybe someday.
Hey, you know what? He's still in the space, and that's or I mean, I don't know if he's still in the space, but it feels like he was, or I don't remember. Were they arguing like anti-gender or something, or that was a different one?
That was a different
Um,
one.
uh, but either way, no, they were. I mean, I like there. Even if like he came in like and was just coming in and you ask the question, it just feels like it's just the talking down to is always really crazy. It's like you could ask the question like, "Oh, hey, why don't you do this?" as opposed to, and then I'm certain you all would have explained like, "Yeah, well, why don't you do that then, dude?"
Hmm.
As
Yeah.
opposed to just immediately saying like, "Oh, you guys are women," you know?
Yeah, he called it a critique. I have a critique.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Was a fun conversation and glad to see that stuff get kind of hit on. But if you have someone else, I guess I mean I was just more asking that one comment because no one else was chatting. So yeah, if you got somebody else to chat about, I could ask about uh, the women make better leaders than men. I would say maybe like a comment on that with um, I'm a huge fan of Claudia Sheinbaum with the whole Mexico party coming in and the changes that they're doing. Do you think that's something that maybe could happen in the U.S. at some point?
I actually have a quick question for you, Dippity Doodah, if that's okay.
Of course.
And I lost your name in the beginning. I was getting cereal and stuff set up for my kids. So can you tell
All
me your
good.
name? Do you just want to go by Dippity?
You can go. Yeah, you can call me. You can call me T. You can call me Dippity. You can call me D. Whatever
Okay,
you want to say.
thanks. So, I don't disagree with you that like there's a general hate towards femininity. Like I definitely agree with that. I guess my question for you, and then I'm going to drop back down and you can just kind of discuss, is I guess my question for people, not just you in general, but people asking this question because I hear it in these spaces a lot, is what is the point? Like, as a woman hearing this and knowing that the hatred for femininity comes from the hatred for like my gender, right? What's the point? Because I hear you saying things that I would consider you an ally in a lot of other ways, and it sounds like you would too. So what's the point of arguing, I guess, that it's not a hatred for women and general femininity? Like, why can it not be both to you, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, well, for one, I think it can be both. But I kind of came in just because I was seeing that no one was chatting, and I thought I'd try and get a little bit of engagement going. And it was just a small distinction, and I generally think it's always a good idea to try and be as inclusive as possible. But it was less so that I think that it was a um, distinction that needs to be made, because I do think it's also incredibly important to um, what's the word, to see where where issues and communities are being hit on, like, badly. Like, I mean, you have to be able to um, see where the parts of the community are being hurt to fix those parts of the community. So it was more so just I was wondering, I guess, like, the question. I was more asking a question to try and stimulate debate, as opposed to I think necessarily. I wasn't trying to insert myself over someone else's opinion. More so just asking the debate and trying to, yeah. No, I wasn't trying to be anything overwhelmingly one way or another. Just more so, it was something I've noticed with hatred towards femininity, and I was wondering kind of like where that was coming from, and um, if there was any explanations. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch the other person's name. The person who talked to me just beforehand, explaining kind of the hatred of femininity coming from a hatred of women. I feel like that made way more sense, and it was a way better distinction than what I was coming from it. So I less so that I was disagreeing, more so just looking for conversation and explanation from women voices.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, my
and
name's
I
Sean,
will.
by the
Oh, go
way.
ahead.
I just said my name's Sean, by the way.
Sean. Oh, thank you. Yeah. And I also will say, like, I don't identify myself as an ally. I think allyship is something that's earned through uh, doing things that qualify as being an ally. So, yeah, I appreciate that. So I'll jump off if y'all got somebody else, unless there was any conversation on the Claudia Sheinbaum, and if the U.S. if that's ever possible in the U.S.
I don't think so. Not
Why is
anymore.
that?
Um, because we've tried it twice and it
Okay.
didn't work. So I just
Um,
think that the USA hates women. So
Very fair. This is something that I've been really kind of digging into post election, and so for me, I always felt like it boiled down to the material position, and I mean, like, because I mean, in the election, I don't know. This is just my opinion more than anything. I don't necessarily believe a man could have won the election necessarily either. I think that um, the model, as it were, was exactly what Mexico did, where it was an aging president who was popular from used popular policies, and then their VP was kind of groomed to take over the position, and Joe Biden is just an incredibly old racist man who actively hated Kamala Harris. And I think in a better world, it would have been possible to for a Kamala like figure or something like that to happen. But I don't know. I've never seen any. I've seen plenty of hopefully evidence that even an incredibly machismo-esque country like Mexico, who, I mean, you talk about rape culture and everything in Mexico, it's incredibly prevalent, and the hatred of women. But I mean, and even a Catholic country elected a Jewish woman, and she's doing fucking great. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if I can curse. Please, yeah. Actually, yeah. Also, yeah. Please get rid of me at this point. Like, I feel like I've been talking too much at this point. This is Feminist Friday.
all right, buddy, we're gonna drop you down now.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good one.
Aiden, do you disagree with the background? What?
Oh,
Are you
can you
talking?
guys not? Oh, there you go. All right. Yeah,
Oh,
what's
you're
up?
breaking. Okay, I see. Do you disagree with the background? We couldn't hear what you said before.
Oh, I didn't give any comment on that. Honestly, I'm gonna pass on that topic, but yeah, I mean, I'll agree for now.
Huh?
Which topic are you? There's three topics.
Just so far what we mentioned, yeah. Just yeah. Um, yeah.
I'm confused. So wait, do you disagree with anything on the background or no?
I mean a little bit, if we go into the fact that previous man, whatever they want to be identified as, said that Biden was not in support of Kamala, which I'm pretty fondly disagreeing with personally. I mean, I saw it a
Well,
lot of ways in which he
maybe if
supported.
you maybe if you agreed with it, like you would say her name right.
Okay, but I didn't catch his name at
Her
all.
name is Kamala.
I'm talking about Biden.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you said her name wrong.
Kamala
it's Kamala.
or Kamala. Apologies, I'm from Canada, so
Yeah, what is the? What do you disagree with anything in the background though?
other than that point mentioned so far, no, no.
Okay, what would you? Oh well,
That's a no for me. That's a no for me.
I was confused
I
thoroughly,
don't
and
know what that
why'd
was.
you come up? Like,
I don't know what that was. Let's. Can we open up the call line?
Yeah, I
Is it
just
open?
opened it. Call line
Okay.
is wide open, but all the men on YouTube are scared, so I don't know what to do. They're just crying in the comments.
I'm so nice. Come talk to me.
don't cry in the comments. Cry on the call line.
Now I want pancakes so bad.
I just had some.
The
I
only
Slap.
place
thought
I
you
can
were
get
about to say
the
something
only place I
else,
can
and
get
I was
pancakes from is Denny's, and someone told me that Denny's is like that they worked as a manager in Denny's for the longest time, and it was horrific.
Well, I mean, just to begin with, Denny's just pancakes just aren't great. I had Cracker Barrel. I know, but Cracker Barrel's pancakes are fire. That's so I can excuse literally everything else. Cracker Barrel makes good pancakes. I don't know what to tell you. The call-in line is open, y'all. There are some people in the guest request, but I don't know if they agree or disagree. Oh shit. Hello, are you here to have a conversation?
Oh yeah, I am.
All right. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
My name is Ty. I'm 25. I'm a male, or him, I guess.
All right. And do you disagree with the topics on the board today?
So the first one. So it started off. I'm married. I've been married for 5 years. I have 4 kids. So, so being in a marriage, how would that work if, like, my wife leaves? Is that what I'm saying? Or is our dynamic the way it is? Like we both have opinion on things, both take like our time to talk about it, and both make decisions based off of how we both feel. But if a woman leads or a woman leads, it's just her opinion that matters, and that mine just doesn't matter to y'all, or is it like how do y'all like address that?
So when it comes to leading, I'm not specifically only talking about like a household. What I'm saying is that women tend to have a higher emotional intelligence than men. So they're better able to understand emotions. They're better able to take the emotions that they do experience and properly regulate, as well as properly decompress and properly what's the word I'm looking for? properly connect their emotions with others. Men tend to be it tends to be harder for men to do this because of the way that men are socialized. So because of this, women are able to connect with people better, therefore making them better leaders. In the household, I don't think a man or a woman should lead. I think it should be an equal partnership. I don't think any one person should have final say in households.
So I agree with you a little bit, but I disagree with the whole leading part only because I feel like in the household, at least someone has to take charge because we both just sit here like, well, I don't know. What do you want? What do you want to do? Well, I don't know. It kind of turns into like a stalemate for a while. So I feel like someone eventually has to be like, you know what, this is what we need to do. If you don't agree with it, we need to figure out why. If you do agree with it, then we'll go continue. But
Yeah,
I
I
think
just don't know
the
why
question.
I just don't know why you and your partner wouldn't have the same opinions on most things. Most people should be with people that agree with them on like the ways, like when we're talking about households, how to raise the children, how to structure the household, how to pay bill. Like you and your wife should pretty much be a team on this matter. And a team doesn't mean that like one person always makes decisions. That's not a team.
That's what I'm referring to because the way the question was formed, it was like my wife knows everything. My wife knows the best, and I should just be like, you know what? I'm gonna let you take lead, let you take charge, and I'm just gonna follow behind you because society obviously believes that you are the one that obviously has all the answers, and I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm just
Let me
ignorant to
ask
the
you a
fact.
question.
And
Does
it's
your
like,
wife like how do I want to phrase this? Does your wife have a job outside of the home? Does she work outside of the home?
oh no, she started working like a few years ago. She's a stay home
Okay, so
mom.
she's a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah,
Then yeah, she should absolutely be the one in charge of the household then.
yeah. I'm not, well, what do you mean by that? Like, as in, like she runs the house, as like I provide, right? But she also does her things at home. Like we're very like not traditional in the sense because she can do what she wants, but she decided just
If
what she wants to
she's the
do.
one home all day with the
So
children and she's the one taking care of the house, she should have final say over household matters. Yeah, she's with the kids all
give
day.
me
She should have final
give me
say on
example.
stuff that have to do with the kids.
Can you just give me an example? Because like when you say that, for me it sounds like if she's like, yeah, Ty, we're moving, so we need to move somewhere else, and I'm like, why? Well, she's like, well, I don't like living here because I want to move somewhere that's like nicer. My wife doesn't like this. I'm just giving an example. I'm not asking for an example. Like, is that what you mean, or do you mean like if it's like, hey, Ty, I need you to go to the store real quick, grab some things from the store? I'm not gonna question her, but is that what you mean by like that's her final say? Like whatever she needs at home, I should be the one to be like, you know what? I'm gonna be on top of it and take care of it right then and there, which I already
Let me
do.
explain it
But is
this way. Let me
that
explain
what
it
you're
this way.
referring to?
Let me explain it this way. If I had a business, right, and I owned a restaurant, but I don't work there. I just own it. And I have a manager. Who would be the person making the daily decisions at that business? Would it be me or the person I hired to manage the business?
I see what you mean. That
If
makes
your
better sense.
wife is a stay-at-home mom, that means she is there all day.
Yeah.
She sees what the house needs. She sees what the kids need. All of this. She's putting in the bulk of the labor in that sense. So she should be making the household decisions in that sense.
What do you mean bulk of the labor? Because like that's one thing that we both have had conversation about is we don't put that label on there like who works more because we start putting that label on and there starts to become like some type of like resentment. Because like so say like I'm like, well I work 70 hours this week. Like why do you feel like you work more harder than me? And like or she's like, well like you weren't working as much this week, so why can't you do more? Like we don't have these arguments, but it's like that's what I'm saying. Like those type of
When you
dynamics
get
that
home
happen
from
because
work,
it's like you start putting labels.
when you get home from work, what do you do? Like, just walk me through a typical evening of you getting home from work. Like, what do you do when you get home?
So the first thing I do is I kiss my wife. Kiss my wife. Ask her how she's doing. I usually when I get home, she's either cooking. She's either still cooking or she's already served plates to the kids. And then it's like, all right, we have family time. I usually take care of the kids afterwards because I know she's watching the kids all day. So it's like I make sure I wash them up, spend time with them, clean the kitchen because I know she already cooked, so I'm not gonna ever clean the kitchen. Um, Usually, like after I get off work, she either goes and does her own thing or try to relax because I know like she's been with the kids all day, and it's like you have to decompress too. So it's like I kind of like give her like that little time to decompress, and then from there it goes into well, it's bedtime now, so we do prayers together, and it goes straight into bedtime, and after that it's just me and her time, and then we go to bed.
Okay.
So that's typically our like.
So when it comes to labor in the household, right? When we look at like the typical distribution of labor, right? The typical distribution of labor is men falling behind, right? And I'd even say
Yeah.
even if you look at the distribution of labor in your household, there is still areas that you can do better, right? If you're getting home late and the kid and she's been and obviously any of the femme voices on the panel, please fucking interrupt me at any time. You guys can take over.
I was ordering pancakes.
You're good, Alina. But also, bro, are we on? Can you turn this down a little bit? There's an echo. If we're on.
Oh, my fault. I'll put it on you again.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when we look at the typical distribution of labor, men tend to work on average do 19 minutes of household labor a day on average, whereas women do about 49 minutes of household labor a day on average. When we look at your situation, right? You said your wife is a stay-at-home mom, so she's home with 4 kids all day sometimes, right?
Yeah.
There is not a single job in the world I would not do over watching 4 kids alone all day. Not a single job I would not do.
But back to this, right? What about women who voluntarily want to be stay-at-home moms or want to be moms? It's not like I'm like, oh, you have to be at home. Like if she wanted to go to work, she could, but she's like, I want to be home with my children because I want to be able to raise my children, have a mother and a father like we didn't have when we grew up. I want them to grow up differently than we did. So it's like, how can I be like, I'm not doing enough when I'm like, you know what? Since you want to be a stay-at-home mom, I want the same thing. I want my kids to have the same like lifestyle. I'm gonna work 2 jobs. So you don't have to worry about the income. You don't have to worry about falling behind. You don't have to feel like me not working is like causing our family to not be able to grow. So it's like, you know what, I'm gonna take the sacrifice.
So
for you to say, well, I'm still not doing enough.
Hold on.
It's kind of crazy.
Hold on. No, because that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about people who like they want that out of their life, right? We're talking about the fact that when we look at women, first of all, women are socialized to prefer to be wives and mothers. We socialize. One of the toys, the predominant selling toys for women are baby dolls, where small children can pretend to be moms. Right? We socialize them from the beginning that this is what they should be doing. They should be mothers. They should be wives. They should be homemakers. So a big portion of this, right, is socialization. Second, when it comes to like how we how do I want to phrase this? When it comes to the distribution of labor, a lot of this is subconscious, right? A lot of this is men who just believe that their work is more laborious, so therefore they do not engage in the household labor as much.
Time out, real quick. I'll interrupt you real quick. So is that why people are pushing for women going back to work and stuff? Women being like, I'd rather be at work and stuff than to be at home, because at least we can't use the argument that one doesn't work and one does work. So it's like it's an even playing field. Because like if you went to work, would y'all say this? Would y'all have the same stance on, at least in my situation? Like when y'all both go to work, when you come home, you still do home stuff, because it's like you like I already said, I get home and that's the first thing. Like after I kiss her and talk to her and comfort her, I handle kids. So it's like I don't necessarily know how.
Okay, but you know this
like,
conversation isn't about. You know the conversation isn't about you specifically, right?
Oh no, I'm understanding that, but I'm saying like a lot of these conversations are also directed at men who are in my position too, where it's like, hold on, what are y'all talking about? But then it's like, well, we're not talking about you guys, but then people still look at me the same way like everybody else, and I don't like that. And you can say, well, if the shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it. But then it's like, we say that for women too. A lot of men say hateful shit about women, but a lot of women know I'm not like that. I'm not a hoe. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. But it's like they still take offense, because it's like at the end of the day, you're still targeting us as a group, not as individuals. That's why I'm like, some of these questions you're putting on there is like, for example, that second one. I can't remember what the second one was, but it just don't make sense to me, because I already general like.
Do you know in relationships where the woman is the breadwinner, so the woman is the one primarily earning the the money in the household, she still outperforms in labor in household labor than husbands. Even in relationships where
Well,
women are earning the primary source of income, women still typically do three times the household labor.
I
I
mean, me personally, and at least a lot. We talk about these type of conversations as well. We should also understand that this is also a culture thing because a lot of us Black Americans grow up without fathers. So it's like you can say, oh well, like the husband and wife thing. Like I grew up with my dad. Like my dad was around, but like I saw him raise a different family. So like my mom was basically the only person I had when I was at my mom's house. So it's like seeing my mom and grandma lead and how they operated. I don't know. I don't necessarily can agree and be like, oh well, women can operate and move better than men because like my mom was abusive, my mom did this, my mom did that, and you could say, well, my mom had traumas that was passed down to her. Well, I'm a man, and my mom passed down traumas to me. Wait, do I have any excuses? Do I have any like handouts? Do I have any type of like leeway to be like, well, this happened to me when I was a child. This happened to me when I grew up. Can y'all extend a hand to me? All I've been hearing is basically is, well, women are dealt a bad hand or something bad about a hand, that dealt a bad hand, and I have to be as a man, I have to be able to suck it up and be like, you know what, I'm gonna take the initiative to allow you to have the freedom and not even allow, because saying the word allow means that I have control over you, and I don't have no control. It's just me not having the idea or having the mindset to be hateful or to be any type of like resentment. Like for example, I don't even hate women, but like I hear that I'm part of the group. I hadn't even thought about some of these conversations, but I'm part of the group. It's kind of weird because it's like I'm black and so I already deal with the black card, but now I'm labeled a misogynist because of society. That's crazy. Why are white women looking at me like I'm a weirdo because of society? Not even me personally,
so
the society. I have women call me a woman hater, a L because of society. They don't even know me as a person. I live in
I
Seattle too,
definitely
so I live in a feminist state. I live in a liberal state where like I can hold a door open for a woman, and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Do you
I'm just
do you
holding the door
notice
open for you, man.
do you notice and real quick, and then I'm going to let Allison speak. Do you notice that in a conversation about the uneven distribution of labor that women are forced to contend with in households, you've now centered the conversation about how you feel as a man? Anyway, Allison, you go ahead.
Well, my fault. I didn't know I'm doing
so
all that.
I definitely want to like
Also, homie, you
your own
gotta mute the echo. You gotta mute your phone or something, bro.
your own experience is not your fault, right? But that is your responsibility. And I do want to start by saying, like, I am sorry for those things that you've had to go through. It sounds like you're aware of them, and that is the first step to like growth and change, and that's wonderful. Um, but there's a level of responsibility that you have to have in the situation to say, I didn't make these choices. These things that I went through were crappy things, but here's how I'm going to make moves in the future to make sure that my four kids don't have to be subjected to the same things I was subjected to. Because I'm also a parent, and I would say that that's my end goal with parenting is just to make sure that the harm I was subjected to, I do the best I can to ensure I don't inflict that same harm on my kids. And so, even if in your own situation, if we were to call your wife up here and she were to be like, our division of labor is completely equitable, I have no qualms with it, I have no issues, even if that were true in your situation, then there would still be an overwhelming majority of women who are, we have years and years and decades of decades at this point of not just like anecdotal survey research, but of scientific study research saying that women contribute more to their homes just based off of looking around and seeing what needs to be done in the house and making mental habits and notes of that. And so, even if in your household your wife isn't making you a list or isn't saying, like, hey, I need help with this, and you're just jumping in and doing it, That's not the case for all women. So in my household, my partner, who is a man, is very active in our household. I'm a stay-at-home mom. He provides for our family and he pays me a wage to stay home with my kids. And we are privileged to be able to do that. And we haven't always been able to do that, but that's our situation right now. And so I recognize that that is my situation as a stay-at-home mom in this moment. But if my daughters were to make the decision to be stay-at-home parents or were to not have the decision and would have to stay at home with their kids due to whatever financial reasons or health reasons or whatever it may be, because there are multiple different reasons why people have to stay home. It's not always a choice because they want to. But even if they were to make that choice to, that doesn't mean that they're going to be with a partner who has been socialized and done the same amount of work as my partner has to be able to afford me the quality of life that I have. And so, even though my situation personally, I'm happy with my partner and staying at home, I still am advocating for other women who are in less than perfect situations because I have a great stay at home mom situation and my shit is still sideways. Excuse my language, but like there are still days where I'm losing my mind, right? And so I just want to put some recognition on that, that like your experiences definitely matter to you. And they are not your fault. They are your responsibility. And it's not just your wife's situation. It's, I don't know if you have daughters, but it's your future daughters. And if you have sons, it's your future daughter-in-laws. I'm sure you want your sons to be men that take care of women, especially their women. And so trying to deny the experiences of women, even if you haven't seen the experience yourself, is actively working against that for future generations.
No, what do you mean, like actively deny? Like I guess I have 3 daughters, so like I've been big on trying to figure out how to raise them as well because, like I said, with this whole manosphere and this whole like wave of stuff, it's kind of like, don't get me wrong, I have a firm belief on how I want to raise my children. It's just the way society talks is kind of like people will say like, well, you're raising them like that, like you're raising them the wrong way, and it's kind of like not scary, but it's kind of like discouraging because it's like, what are y'all teaching our kids? It's, what you're saying that what I'm teaching them is wrong. So it's like, how do you direct 3 daughters or 3 women, 3 girls in a direction as a man to where it's not misogynist or bad on like the world? Because like for example, I was about women, so it's not like anything I was taught wasn't taught from a woman. Like I was taught, like for example, in the black community, we're taught if as a man, if a woman puts a hand on you, if your mom is raising you, she tells you whoop her ass. My language. But if your dad raising you, most of the time they tell you to walk away because it's not worth the consequence at the end of the day. Like you're not going to be able to get out of the situation like you think because like you're a man. But your mom telling you whoop her ass. So it's like, how do you determine which one is right if I'm being raised by a woman, but I'm getting told that a male's perspective is misogynist?
So
Go.
there's a couple things. I want us to remember that the yeah, you still have that echo, by the way. I want us to remember that this conversation is stemming around women being better leaders. And the reason that women are better leaders is because if a woman is doing something, you asked how a woman can be a better leader in a household. And it's in your particular situation because the woman in your life manages the household and does the majority of domestic labor in your life. And so she knows what the household needs, she knows what the people in the household need, and so she'd make a better leader for the household. We've moved into like what is misogynistic to do with like raising your children or even running a household. And the reason why like this is important is because of things that were said before, but also because like the ways that you raise your daughters will it kind of linger out throughout their lives where as when they get into future households as as Allison has said before, when they get into future households, they will look towards like you and the way that they were raised in order to figure out how it is that they want to be treated. And if they're being treated in ways that are oppressive towards them, it wouldn't be, it's not ideal towards them. This is how people get into unhealthy relationships and get stuck in unhealthy relationships because one, they don't know that it's unhealthy because this is the quote unquote way that they were raised, and two, because oftentimes they're too afraid to say something about it because society as a whole is discouraging them from being liberated. uh, and so like for you, like what you're talking about right now is you coming to terms with the fact that like men are inherently misogynistic, and that's cool and whatever else, but like there's books for this.
But what you said wasn't really descriptive. It was more or less like it was very vague. That's what I mean by like,
What
how
do
do
you
you
mean
know?
vague?
Because all I'm getting told was, well, like wherever you teach them, make sure that it's not going to oppress them. And it's like, what's oppressing them? Like if my daughter wants to play football, I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Is that me like being open, or like, or she's like, oh well, my son's like, oh well, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Like, what do you mean by oppressed? Because like me having any type of say on what they do, yes, or like, if I say no to anything, is that oppressing them, or like that's what I mean. Like, where's like the fine line of parenting and oppressing and being very like, I don't know. I'm just basically
We're
asking the
talking
question
about
based
the
off of like,
recognition.
just go ahead.
Yeah, we're talking about the recognition of labor in a household and a woman's ability to lead the household from knowing how to do the labor within the household. And we're talking about the recognition of, like, in particular in this situation, between you and your wife. Like, women do not get, like, when men do, like, the majority of domestic labor, men tend to get noticed and rewarded for doing that domestic labor, whereas it's just seen as something that women are supposed to do. And that is the misogyny.
So I have another question, right? So for example, like as a black man, I don't know about you, but being raised by a woman, I thought that a lot of these things that, like you said, you guys are talking about would have been taught to us as little boys by our moms. Because it's like these are women that are part of the situation, part of the movement usually. So why aren't, you would think single mom household will produce a lot of boys that are like, I am not gonna treat women like this. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna be like that. I'm gonna be like where are where are these men at if all of us are growing up with single moms? Because
We're
obviously our mom's
not.
telling us all the bad stuff that happened to them. Like I saw my mom have multiple men. I saw my mom have boyfriends and stuff I didn't like. I saw my mom get mistreated. I saw my mom get used. Like I saw it at an early age, and I was like, my mom had me when she was 16. So like I saw all this stuff when I was 10, like 9, 10 years old. She's 25. So it's like it's not like I'm not socially aware. So it's like where, I don't know. Like I said, for feminists, like how do y'all treat y'all sons? Like y'all hate y'all sons too? Like I hate other men, or is it more or less like y'all only hate other men that y'all don't know? Because it's like if you teach your son hate, like you should hate yourself because you know when you grow up you're gonna be a fucked up person, or is it like, hey, this is a certain things that you shouldn't embody, and if you're able to tell their sons what they shouldn't embody, I would think that would be like a broad thing that they should be pushing instead of it being like just don't be oppressive. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
there's a
like you've been
lot
saying,
there.
like you've been saying domestic labor, and I have, and not once have you told me what I should improve on. Like I said, I come home and I go straight to taking care of children and covering my wife. So I'm trying to figure out, in my example, what would be actual should be added onto it if I'm already coming home and taking care of it. Like, should she not be cooking? Should I be like, no, man, no, baby, no more
I
cooking,
think you
no
should
more
have
cooking
that
dinner. As
conversation.
soon as I get
No, I think you
home,
should have that
I'm
conversation
gonna
with your
start
wife.
cooking. Say it again.
Yeah, you should have that conversation with your wife, but in this particular instance, it's about your recognition of the domestic labor. It's not about like
No, and
you doing.
I've recognized that my wife puts a lot of effort and a lot of time into doing what she does. That's why, like, I have my wife. That's why she's married. I see what she does and what she sacrifices. What I'm saying is,
No,
for
it's
you to say that
hold
there's
on,
still certain
because
things that
you're
I still need to do is what I'm confused on. Because if my wife is telling me on our relationship, what you're doing is perfectly fine. You stepped up. I got
hold
no
on, time
complaints.
out.
I see women complain
The
about their husbands.
recognition,
I don't complain about you. But for you as a man to be like, hey, my dude, like you still not doing enough for your wife. I don't know what your wife feels at home, but you're not doing enough. Because you were saying that direct to me. It wasn't like you were like, hey man, you're doing good, but like at least the other lady was like,
Well,
hey,
well, first
you
off,
and your wife have
Sean
a
is not a
dynamic
man.
that we like. The other lady was at least agreeable. Like she was like, yeah, you're doing
listen,
well, but
Javon.
other men like this isn't about you. You directly was like, hey dude, you're still not doing enough. That's why I'm confused on
Look, yeah,
what's
you're
your
not,
opinion?
because you're still
Like
not
your opinion
recognizing
directly.
that the
Take a
yeah,
breath.
because you're not recognizing that the domestic labor makes her a better leader in the household. That's what this whole thing was about. This was about you recognizing that women are better leaders, and in particular in Javon's case, in your case, what Javon was talking about is that your wife would be a better leader within the household, because that was your question. Like, how would that work with my wife being a leader in the household? And Jovan was saying
Yeah,
that because she does the most amount of domestic labor, she knows the most about the household, so she would make a better leader. Your lack of recognition of that is the issue.
well, that's what I think. That's what I was confused on. As in, like, I understand that these are like I said, when it comes to the home stuff, I don't question the home stuff. But when I say lead, me and my wife is like, I need a man to lead. As a Christian man, I need you to be able to lead me, lead our family. So that's what I'm saying. I'm confused on if you're saying based off of like what do you mean by lead? If even my wife is saying I need you to lead us as a family, like she leads her house, like
You got to
she's
ask
the
her
queen of the
what she
house.
means by that. Ask her what she means by leading. How are we
Well, that's
supposed
what
to
I'm saying.
know?
And
I
the
already lead
prompt,
my family. I already do what my wife is saying. The prompt was women are better leaders. But my
yeah,
personal
yeah.
experience, my wife
And
is saying, hey, no, Michael, go ahead.
I was going to say we have also studies and research to back up the fact that there are from other countries women who have been able to make more progress than we have, and that that has further bettered the society for women and men. And so the thing about it is that sorry, the echo is throwing me off a little
The
bit.
echo, dog. Can you just take us off speakerphone? Like,
Oh, no, you're not a speaker. I got Beats headphones, so my headphones probably jumping. My fault.
okay, can you turn them down a little bit then?
Is that better?
So the prompt is not just women make better leaders in the household. Women make better leaders for a multitude of reasons. And that's not based in any of our religious ideologies. That is based in a lot of research. If you would like to go look that up, Google is equally as free to me as it is to you. And on the topic of misogyny, it is as well. And so I agree with the panel that this needs to be a conversation you have with your wife. And if you're trying to discuss the topic with us, that's great. The topic here is that women make better leaders, period. I have a few studies. I can run down to my computer and pull up some actual IDs so that we can look at them together if you'd like. But I would like to get back to like the actual topic, like Sean was saying.
No, I apologize. I'm off topic. I'm kind of like veering the questions. It's just like so your opinion. So like, are you raising your sons, or will you raise your sons to let your wife be the leader of the relationship? Is that what you're saying? That you're going to teach that we teach our men or our the men are the sons of our community or the men of our community to just be like, hey, you know what? Allow the women to lead. Just take a step back and
Wait,
do not
please.
follow behind what we're being
What
taught.
was the reason I told you that women make better leaders than men?
You said they're less emotional, they're more rational. Like we get kind of like amped
They
up and
have a
stuff,
higher
and
emotional intelligence on average
yeah,
than men tend
yeah,
to, right? This is not
yeah,
saying every woman has a higher emotional intelligence than every man, but on
yeah,
average, women tend to have a higher emotional intelligence. And this is because we sort of force them into societal roles in which these skills are needed, such as teaching, such as
yeah.
medical care, such as hospice, hospitality industries, things like that. These things require a higher emotional intelligence to do, and women have been primarily forced into these roles. This is not saying this is always the case and that it's not possible to raise a man with a high level of emotional intelligence, but on average, that list goes to women on average.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I'm asking. So is the whole movement now is going to try to direct men to be more, not more to take a step back, allow women to lead, or is this just like a talking point?
I think men need to be socialized to have a higher emotional intelligence. And if they continue not to be, women will continue to be primarily better leaders than men are because of this trait.
And that's why I went back to if a lot of us are being raised by single women or by single moms, shouldn't that already be instilled in us already, that we need to be better emotionally? Because in order for us to have a wife and to have a successful relationship, we should be able to have our emotions regulated. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I was referring to. Like, when are we going to be teaching our sons this if we're just being told, like, I don't know. I'm asking, are feminists teaching their sons this stuff so we're not having this problem in this next generation? Or is it just a thing that we're just harping on minds with?
I would love to tell you what feminists are teaching our sons. Feminists are teaching our sons. I'm just going to say this real quick because you keep asking this question. So I'm just going to answer it real quick. Feminists are teaching their sons to cook. Feminists are teaching their sons to change diapers. Feminists are giving their sons baby dolls. Feminists are taking their sons to the library. Feminists are like, it's not that we're actively telling our sons that they should hate themselves and collectively as a group that we hate each other's kids if they're sons. We are trying to, like Jovan just said, socialize them in an equal way to women. It's not that the boys have to allow the girls to do anything. It's that we as parents have to socialize them the exact same way. You have a girl, you teach her to change oil. You have a boy, you teach him to cook dinner and do dishes. It's the same thing.
I find it interesting that you are putting the labor on feminist women instead of men doing it. Kristen, do you want to add something? I saw your hand raised.
Thank you.
I'll always
bring that point up immediately. Also, hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
One thing I just kind of noticed in the conversation outside of the unpaid labor that you're also asking this panel to do is that you've brought up your religion several times, and a Christian doctrine, men are prescribed leadership. So I don't know why you keep asking us, essentially, how do women lead better when in your worldview, it doesn't seem like you think that's possible.
Well, in my worldview, it's like I'm a Christian, but I'm not one of those Christians that like I'm going to start bashing people for what they believe in. I just know that I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and like I spread His love and knowledge. I'm not going to sit there and bash you for how you operate, how you. Go ahead.
Right? Your book says that men are the leaders.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I mean, are you flexible in that?
Wait, I didn't hear that first part.
Are you flexible on that? Do you think that women can lead men?
But like I said before, like when it comes to like the certain things, like my wife leaves the house.
I'm asking you, in totality, can women lead men?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Got work.
I want to think, why wouldn't women lead men? I mean, there's, like I said, even during like school and stuff, girls were smarter than boys, so it's not like girls were able to be like, hey, this is what we should do, this is what we shouldn't do. Like we've had experiences our whole life that showed women are.
Wait, really quickly. There's a glitch with Studio, so yeah, when your camera's on, it echoes. Leaving is not gonna fix it, friend. I think you left to try to fix it. Leaving doesn't fix it. You just have to leave your camera off.
Fine.
Continue.
Oh yeah, like I said, growing up, like all experience things show that women are capable, girls are capable of doing just as much as us as men. So it's like I've never been the type of dude to be like, you know what, women are put in certain boxes. I'm just saying for it to flat out say, you know what, a man should just let a woman lead, period, is kind of very like, I don't know, very vague. And it's like, are we just choosing just any woman to lead us,
But
or is it like the woman that
why
leads?
do you think it's letting women lead? That because like you keep saying allow, you keep saying let. Like I think that that's also what Kristen is talking about when she talks about your like just fundamental beliefs that you hold are not, even though you may not be actively recognizing this, they are not allowing you to see women past a certain extent. Because even in a situation where a woman would be a leader, you are telling this panel and ultimately your daughters, because I'm assuming that if you were to have this conversation in your house, it would sound the same.
Also, W
That
Pickles Raid, welcome in
women,
everybody.
hello, Pickles friends. You're telling women that even if they were to be put in positions of leadership, even if they were to be like warranted in those positions of leadership, that men would still be allowing them to have those. And that's not the case. Women would just
I mean, you
have
gotta think.
those
I mean,
positions because
you
they
gotta
would.
think
I'm
about it.
sorry,
Like as a,
I'm still speaking. I've worked really hard to not interrupt you, and so I am going to start to like draw a firm boundary here. Um, so like you are saying that men would be allowing women into those positions, which is an inherently like second class position you would be putting us into, because anything that we would be then doing in that position of leadership would be like, is this allowable for the men in this situation or not? You know what I mean?
yeah, I get what you're saying. Like allow, I'm just saying allow as in like as a body autonomy. I have to be like, you know, I'm gonna allow myself to fall under your lead. I'm not saying allow as in I use my permission. It's just you have to allow some other person to take over the decisions of you. So it's like you're saying that allow, like if I'm gonna allow my wife to make decisions, I'm saying that I'm gonna stop being who I am and being like, you know what, I'm gonna let you take charge. I'm gonna follow behind you. I'm gonna stop what I'm doing to follow behind you. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
So,
I would think
so
that women, I would think women, wait, hold on real quick. I would think that women are allowing men to have relations with them. Women are allowing men to be with them. Women are allowing men to lead them. It's not like I'm forcing you. Like you're gonna let me lead you. It's like it's a thing where you have to be like, you know what, I'm gonna allow you to be this person in my life. That's all I'm saying.
right, but again, we are talking in this greater conversation about like a societal level. So you do have to be able, if you're going to engage in these conversations, to like step out of like, if you and your wife have your own agreement based on your own ideologies that you have specifically talked through, that like you are the leader of the home, that's between you and your wife. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that like your wife has to prescribe to these things. Um, Feminism is the option to or not, right? Feminism is the opt out button. Women have been automatically opted in to these positions of like not being able to be leaders, having these subservient roles in society. And so all that feminism is women being able to push an opt out button of that and say, no, I actually don't want to be a stay at home mom. I don't want to raise kids. I don't want to do these things. I have other aspirations for my life and I'd like to opt out. We're not saying that other women can't do those things. We're just saying the opt out should be there. And additionally, when you're speaking about like allowing someone to fall behind you, would you say that if a sports team, like take the Super Bowl, for example, there's one Super Bowl champion all year until the next Super Bowl, right? Does that team, who then is no longer the Super Bowl champion for that next year, are they allowing that next team to take that championship? No, they are not. That was just the better team, and they won the Super Bowl that year. And so that's all that we're saying. It's like women should have equal opportunity to hold these positions without any permission being extended from men.
Oh, I totally agree. Like I wouldn't expect you to have to ask anybody to be able to do what you want to do. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your body autonomy. So, but then what are pick-me's then? Because like I hear that women who disagree with some of these talking points are considered pick-me's because they're like, well, I don't necessarily agree. But then it's like, well, if you don't agree with us, you're a pick-me. But then I thought if you're able to be able to do what you want as a feminist, then how come they're labeling other women as pick-me's? I've
Hey,
never been able to
really quick,
understand that whole
really quick.
situation.
I do just want to say thank you to GPW for the Cash App. They did say tell him to get therapy and move on. So they did tell you that. Just and also somebody sent a Venmo and I missed that. So let me say also thank you to Ice. Thank you for the Venmo, Ice. All right, continue.
No, I said, that was basically it. Like I said, are these bad questions? Like, are the people not asking these type of questions or something? It's just, I know
No,
a lot of mini therapy, but it's like y'all making it seem like men having like ideologies or ideas or having any type of mindset that's different than other people or you guys now need therapy. But it's like I already need therapy for the stuff I've been through. So I don't know. That's kind of confusing. That's like bashing behind this. Because like, why would you? I don't know. Go ahead.
the comment about therapy personally, I don't know who what their intention was. I'm assuming that it sounded a little bit like a joke, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that it should be written off as such. Like if that was not an appropriate comment, you are totally within your right to say like I don't appreciate that being said. But I will say that like when I tell people, hey, you should probably talk about this in therapy, it's not meant as like a diss. It's like a genuine like this will help you to be like more understanding of the world around you if you were to talk about this in therapy. You know what I mean? And if you are saying that you already have access to therapy because of other things, or you're recognizing that you need to go to therapy because of other things, this is just like one other topic to bring up. You know what I mean? It's not like a diss. It's just like I've been in therapy for years. I will probably always be in therapy. You know, it's not a diss at all.
I don't know about you. Oh, yeah. I don't know about you guys, but my therapist was telling me that me asking these type of questions is a lot better than me just being in the house angry or not understanding. That being more
It's a lot
vocal and being
better,
like,
but
hey, this is what I don't understand,
you're
this is what I don't agree with, or hey, this is what I need to ask about is better than being like how a lot of these men are online behind the camera or behind the computer just angry. Instead of just being like for example, I've been watching for like an hour and I saw a lot of men come up here and just turn around and be like, you know what, I don't want to answer the questions or I'm not firm on what I believe in or what I ask. So I'm like, you know what, let me just say what I gotta say. So it'd be like, oh yeah, you go to therapy. It's like, so I don't agree with you. Now you're saying I gotta go talk to somebody else. It's crazy.
I wrote
That's all.
therapy specifically, and I was not chastising you. You were asking a direct question multiple times over about what you should do. And one thing I want to point out to you is that you are essentially taking the burden from home, from therapy, and putting it on the women in this panel and having an expectation. Now, I agree. You asking questions up here, absolutely a better solution than sitting at home angry or being one of the guys who comes up here and yells at us. But being better than something that's already bad is not exactly the flex that we want to see here. It's about listening to the women when you actually ask such questions and taking that answer as something holistic and actually beneficial.
Okay, so for next time, so you believe I should be less like ask less questions and be more. I'm just asking in general.
No,
I want to start actually being in these spaces more.
I think that you should not expect women who are not being paid and who are not trained therapists to act as therapists. You can absolutely ask questions, but when you think about how you're asking about very specific questions in your life, I would frame this with a little bit more consent on their part.
Okay. Yeah, I ain't trying to project or anything like that. I was just trying to like I said, a lot of these questions were like directed to all men. So it's like, what about the men that are actually
And you're
doing what
so
they're supposed to
good.
be doing?
We're not yelling at
Yeah.
you, I promise you. I know it's a tough
I don't know.
concept to grasp and to allocate to.
No, you're good. I mean, so, or my question at least decent? Like, that's all I'm asking. So, let's, or like, at least different?
Sorry, ask
I
that
don't
one
even
more
know
time.
which question it was. Sorry, so go ahead, Gil.
All right. I feel like, and I don't want to get too deep, but it appears to me, from like an outsider's point of view, with the little information that you've given us, like it appears to me that because of the relationship that you had with your mom, you're kind of seeking validation.
Oh,
Because
100%.
even with
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
just
I'm
said,
like, I'm yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
and no. And I know that maybe that comment was said about therapy and joking, but in my opinion, I think everyone needs therapy, honestly, especially living in this like capitalist hellscape. I think everyone should go to therapy. But even with your question that you just asked, like, were my questions good or what? Like, it seems to me you're seeking validation that maybe you didn't get it as a child. So I don't know if you're ready to do that kind of work, but there are lots of, even if you don't want to go to therapy, there's a book called like the inner child like handbook or something like that, and it helps you kind of work through any sort of like traumas or issues that you had as a child, and trying to find, because like you should have the confidence um, to ask your questions and be like, all right, moving along. But the fact that you asked that, it kind of honestly kind of breaks my heart. um, not to sympathize with a man.
Honestly, same though. Very much same.
Cry. No,
Yeah,
I'm not
well,
asking. I'm
and I
not saying like in the
also,
bad way. I was just more asking like all these questions, like at least something that had some type of substance. Because like I've been seeing some of these spaces where it's just men just hollering stuff, but not actually having substance in their questions. I guess like I was saying about the whole like how do I raise my child if society is basically saying any way that I was raised to raise my child is misogynist. That was just like just
Yeah.
a brief question. Like this, that's all. That's all I was trying to refer to. Just certain questions
and
that
you
need to
know
be asked
what?
instead of it just being angry questions instead, or just hateful stuff.
Absolutely. And that's a totally valid question. And when I first had kids, I had to ask myself that same question because I grew up very evangelical and suffered some religious trauma. And so there was a lot of like deconstruction that I had to do to be able to understand the way that I wanted to raise my kids because I knew something didn't feel right and I needed to identify where that came from. I'm not saying that that's what you need to do. I never want to put any assumptions on anybody's own beliefs. But like, if you're saying you want to raise like your kids to be, adequate people to be able to move in society in a way that does not harm themselves and other people, I do think that like a certain level of questioning, like, I'm not just saying that you have blindly followed anything, but personally, my experience as a Christian was that I would like pick people that I enjoyed listening to. I would listen to what they had to say, and that was like the end all be all. And they made like a lot of my opinions for me. And then when I became a parent, I realized that somewhere deep down in my body, a lot of those opinions and beliefs just did not feel right with the way that I wanted to raise my kids. And so if that's how you're feeling, I highly encourage you, like, you do not have to lose your relationship with your higher power. You do not have to like shake up your entire spiritual life or anything, but I encourage you to like look at where these beliefs come from, not just like in your religious text itself, but do some research on like the sect of Christianity that you're in and where like the historical context is for that type of Christianity, and things like that, so that you can kind of start to be like, okay, maybe some of these things are ideas made by people that like I don't necessarily agree with, but then some of these things are like my sacred beliefs that I hold dear to me, and in that process, you'll be able to identify what things don't feel right for you as a parent.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't want to add anything. I don't want to keep going on and on. But yeah, I get you.
But I do recommend, if you're not already following Jovan, like participate more in these spaces, even if it's just to listen in, because we do talk about these topics every day, 5 days a week. So I encourage you to like keep learning and keep listening. And
I'm gonna do my thing.
I do feel like you seem
And
like a very sweet, sincere person. So thank you for coming.
I appreciate y'all taking the time to actually like listen to me and actually be able to hear me out. And for the other dude, I don't mean to come hostile to you or anything like that. I'll just, like I said, a lot of stuff you said was kind of directed, so I kind of just wanted like direct answer. I didn't mean to get hostile, I guess, if that's how you felt or how I came off.
Who are you talking to?
You. I remember you were saying like I got emotional. I switched over
I
to
assure
from
you,
labor into
Jovan
like the
already
other
forgot.
thing.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Jovan's over it. He definitely didn't take it personally.
Oh, say less. Let's make sure for sure. But all right, y'all. I appreciate y'all time.
All right, you have a good one.
Thank you.
My pancakes have arrived.
Oh, sick. Guys, remember we do have our tip goal going today. If you want to support the stream, you can send a tip to the Cash App or Venmo over on the side. Also, remember to tip the panelists. The panelists are engaging in a lot of emotional labor, so make sure you are tipping the panelists via the TikTok gift system. Send panelists gifts and thank yous for the labor that they're putting in for your day. Oh, you got is a blueberry chocolate chip. Not Don Debbins up at the Echo. Ain't nobody gonna hear.
It's blueberry. I actually
Oh,
found a place that isn't Denny's or IHOP.
Oh,
Chuck
W.
Wagon.
You'll have to let us know how they are. All right, I'll open the call-in line if anybody wants to call in, but I know there are guest requests. I just don't know if anybody in the guest request disagrees.
I also want to say I don't want to take up unnecessary space, so I'm not going to be offended if y'all drop me at any point.
That is up to Alina.
You gotta stay behaved. I'm just kidding. No, I mean I think your opinion is valuable. I don't know if Kristen has kids, but I definitely don't have kids, so I can't speak on the stay-at-home mother life.
Hold on, bruh. No way I actually made it. This is crazy.
Okay. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
My age, I'm 14, so
Anyway.
Big L on that.
Ooh. Yikes.
Does anyone want to hear the Maoist thing that Mao did today?
Who?
He would not let Marx. Mao, Chairman Mao.
Who's that?
Did you just say who?
Like, I know who Chairman Mao is, but is there like...
Who is actually crazy on the low?
What? Why is it so weird?
It's the cat.
I didn't know the name. I did not know the cat's name was Chairman Mao.
Why do you think everyone would be like Chairman Mao, like super excited in the chat? Comment right now if your profile photo is Chairman Mao.
I don't read the chat.
People in here. Wow.
I'm reading 3 chats at once. Sorry, I missed stuff.
You heard it here first. Jovan hates the chat.
Oh,
yeah.
Chat
and
knew
cats.
that.
See, look at Ray's photo. Court kick-ass. Look at that. Okay, so
is it Chairman Mao or Chairman Meow?
No, Chairman Mao.
That's why I didn't remember, because Chairman Meow is funnier.
No.
If I had a cat and a dog, it would 100% be Chairman Meow and Carl's Barks.
Okay, well, the reason why he's Chairman Mao is because he tried to unalive himself. That's why. So we had to give him a strong name.
We have to give context for that. That's so deep.
Okay, well, I was naming him Ed Sheeran. His name was Ed Sheeran, and he tried to unalive himself. And Sean said it was because of his name. So we changed his name to a stronger name, Chairman Mao, and he survived.
I'm sorry.
And now he doesn't let Marx eat food.
Do people
So
not
there's
agree
that.
that Chairman Meow and Carl Barks are like two great names for pets?
No, Carl Barks is actually really great. Like, I'm actually upset about that I didn't think of that one.
Carl Barks is great. Guest, welcome in, caller. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
My name is Fo. I'm 27, and I'm he, him.
Okay. And do you disagree with any of the topics on the board?
I do. I believe. I gotta look at him again. So I disagree that women make better leaders than men in general, and I also would like to know what you define as men not wanting wives in a certain scenario. But yeah.
All right, take it away, everybody. Just thank you to Tamia and Zach for the cash apps. Ladies, I'll let you guys handle while I get water.
Good morning. How are we all doing today?
Sorry, I was getting canceled. Sorry.
I'm like,
I was getting
Sorry, I was
canceled.
on camera.
I just love that. I'm like, ladies, you go ahead and talk, and everybody's like, no.
We're giving you the silent treatment. You're welcome for not
That's
knowing
fine.
Chairman Mao
I'm gonna get
or
water.
Fidel Catbro.
Those are adorable names for pets. I must agree.
Thank you. We
Fidel
agree.
Castro is really good.
Thank you very much. I have many a name for Alina if she'd only listen to that. So bro, why do you think women aren't better leaders?
I think that putting a blanket statement like women in general are better leaders than men kind of it takes away any nuance to whatever
Jovan,
a
puzzle piece.
situation requires.
Sure. Do you think the standard has always been that men are better leaders though?
Jovan, you gotta come back to puzzle piece.
Hey, I don't think you can hear as you
So
took off the head.
Oh shit.
I can hear two people talking. I don't know if other people are jumping.
Sorry,
you're good.
we were
We were the screen. It's a thing. It's a TikTok thing. But just keep going. Keep talking.
So in general, I think, as you guys said, women generally are more emotionally focused, emotionally minded.
That's
I
not
think
really
where
necessarily
that
what we said.
the
And I asked you if the
I believe you
standard
said they are
is
more
essentially that men
emotionally
make better leaders,
intelligent.
which you didn't answer.
I believe it's situational. I believe in
Okay.
situations that require a higher emotional intelligence, women generally excel. I think in situations where there's a more goal oriented, where the emotions of a situation or a group aren't really taken into account, I think men excel.
So if you're leading people, that would be more than one person. So don't you think that anything that involves a group, which would involve emotions in your worldview, would make women inherently better leaders because they are more emotionally regulated?
Emotionally regulated generally means you're more emotionally sensitive to those around you.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you
So
say?
you said, men are more goal
Yeah.
oriented typically, and women use more emotion, which, for men, if they're not in a group, it doesn't really matter with the goal. But if the concept is leadership, then you have to be leading someone, which involves a group, not just independent you. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But leadership also implies that there's a purpose, that there is a goal or something that
You don't
needs
think
to be
women
led
set
to.
goals?
I'm not saying that they don't. I'm saying that generally, if there's a group, there's a goal, and if the goal is if the goal is more if the goal is something like making somebody feel comfortable or making or finding some sort of common ground or
So being your
finding an
mommies.
emotional harmony, if you want to view
So,
it that way,
so then you would agree with that second point, men don't want wives, they want mommies, maids, and nannies. That would be where you fall. Awesome. Thanks for coming in here to let us know that.
I'm
I
liking more
don't
and more,
necessarily
Allison.
think that.
Then it's like,
In
I'm just saying to say that women are that the emotional intelligence only plays a factor in emotional decisions is number one, just based in factually nothing. It's incorrect. And it's offensive to women who make decisions that are not emotional decisions every single day and do that flawlessly. So just, yeah, little offensive of a comment to make in the first place.
then it is offensive to say that men are unable to make emotional decisions or to
No,
make
that's just a
decisions
fact
that
based on
are
society,
backed
how
by
men are
emotional
raised.
intelligence.
If you feel offended by that statement, it's your own offense. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, I'm failing to see what the argument would be, like, in a factual basis for you. Like, what studies or statistics or like evidence have you seen that will back this up for you?
Yeah, and keep in mind that being more emotionally intelligent was your claim about leadership. So it wasn't even our words saying that part.
If women have more emotional intelligence, generally they operate with more empathy towards those they work with and that they lead. Where that can come to be detrimental, and what I've personally experienced, and what I think a lot of men have personally experienced, and where this comes from, is that making decisions that you try and make everybody feel happy about means that nothing will ever get done because there's always going to be someone who disagrees. And having leadership that understands that moving forward, despite how people feel, that you have to make decisions, that people are not going to like the decisions you make, but a decision needs to be made, and that you have
So
to tell
only you were
people to do
happy.
things they don't want to do.
So your version of leadership is the goal is your happiness.
My goal in leadership is not happiness. It depends on what I'm leading and why.
Do you not understand what I'm asking
If
you?
my
Because you're saying you're removing empathy. You're removing the people that you're leading entirely and saying it's your decision. So how is that leadership?
leadership is
If
moving
the
towards
goal
the
is
goal.
to achieve something together.
The goal is to achieve something together. And sometimes that means putting aside the feelings of the group to get that goal completed. I think that in my experience, women struggle to do that more than men do.
Oh
I
my
think,
God.
and I think that
experience.
the fact
Like,
that
I think you're just making something up.
Hang on, you're really. Can I join you guys on TikTok because the audio is a lot clearer over there?
Sure, I guess.
Yeah, sorry.
He didn't tell us his username.
That's low-key hilarious though.
Apologies for the outburst.
Yes,
I just like don't understand that. Like, why?
I can't answer the call. But
Damn it, Joanne.
the empathy is not about making everyone happy. Empathy is about understanding someone's emotions and knowing like how they're reacting towards something.
I also want to bring up the definition of leadership real quick. Is not like the definition of leadership is not to make decisions for a group. The definition of leadership is an ability to influence, guide, or lead others toward a goal. That is the definition of leadership. It's not to make the decisions, it's to influence, guide, and take in the goals of the group.
Wait, sorry, I was muted. Person on the phone, what's up? What's your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Hi, my name. They call me Callie. Oh, my. You said what's my pronouns? I guess
Your
I'm
age
a
and pronouns.
man, him, and whatever the man is. And I apologize. I don't really know too much about it. I got the concept of it. But y'all can hear me clearly?
Yeah, what's your age?
Oh, 40.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you. Do you disagree with the topics on the board?
Yeah, I disagree with women being better leaders.
Okay, and why?
Cause if they were better leaders, there would be more leaders, right? Cause most of us want to be. Most society is based on results, correct? Can we agree with that?
No.
All right.
Yeah,
So
no.
if you disagree with it, why?
I think
Why do you
maybe you
think
guys
that
are
people
better
don't want results?
dominators. I think you guys are
Huh?
dominators. I think men are
No.
dominators, not leaders.
The question is, why do you think people aren't?
Yeah.
They don't gravitate towards results. Not about men
What does that
dominating.
mean? Yeah, but what
Because
does that mean?
But you said you disagree with that.
we talk,
No, you said you disagree with it.
yeah, it's 'cause
I said people tend, in society, we tend to go with the one that produces the results, right? That's basically how culture works. And I asked you, did you
no.
agree with that? You said no. Then you went on to say, because men are dominators. I don't really think those two kind of germane. I think those are like two different topics. Fair?
Okay. Because society is, at least the way that it is structured today, is based upon things like tradition rather than actual results. If things were going towards results, we'd see less people believing in angels.
All right. So if we were to go with what you just said, right, won't we still be sacrificing chickens when there's a drought outside?
No, we'd be going towards a scientific method which produces results. But yet,
Yeah,
All
instead
right,
of going
fair.
towards a scientific method, hold on, instead of going towards a scientific method that produces results, I see grown people get on their hands and knees and pray to Sky Daddy, which does not produce
Yes.
results. So if society went towards something that produced results, like most religions would be eradicated.
And they're compared to back then, compared to now, isn't that kind of happening? Like there are more theists than religious people. Like as far as people who believe in the Bible, there are more atheists than there are now than there were back then. Isn't that is a slow gradual? Because I think the reason why a lot of people hold on to the religion is because they need some form of coping mechanism. Life is tough. Life gets hard, and sometimes it gets real bleak when
Yeah.
you think there's
This isn't,
nothing else
this is,
after this. So therefore,
I
they
don't care.
tend to latch on to something that makes them feel,
Yeah,
all right, I can get through this.
I don't care.
Huh?
Your point was is that people lean towards things that produce results, and I'm showing you that they do not.
All right. So then again, that's exactly why I said, all right. So the reason why I say they lean towards maybe not because if they were, a religion would be eradicated. That's the reason, right?
Yeah, like that's the example. You said, why do you believe that people do not lean towards why do you believe that society does not lean towards things that produce results? And I said, because if that were true, then we'd be leaning towards science rather than religion. And we do not.
But we do. Can you show
We
me
do not.
in today's society where, in general, religion trumps science? Because I can tell you off the
absolutely.
back many ways where science
So,
trump religion, right?
Abortion care. There you go.
yeah, and within society in today, just there are things that people are
Yeah.
willing to just throw out of the window.
Sean, just really quickly, I just want to throw something out there. Maybe I'm high. Maybe I've just like gone on a bender or something, but like, shouldn't science trump religion 100% of the time?
Yeah, like I said, it's like once you start asking that, then I'm like, all right, the reason why is because of coping mechanisms, right? People need coping mechanisms, so they hold on to that. But on their day-to-day life, how they make decisions is based on stats, studies, and statistics, right? Like people wear seatbelts because we realize if we get in a car accident and we don't have a seatbelt on, the likelihood that we can sustain real injury. We use medication, like all this is science, right? We use medication because some diseases could be either prevented or cured. This is all science. Like
Then why
the
do we
power
have
lines and
things
how
like
we like.
anti-vaxxers and
Wait, hold on.
pregnancy is also problematic with
Nothing is
seatbelts?
absolute,
Everything you're
right?
saying
You
can
know
be
that.
refuted.
But you know that nothing is absolute. There are going to be people who are going to be against everything. Even when everything is correct, they're going to be somebody against that. We can't really focus on the people the small minute people, the small party of people who believe that the world is flat and stuff like that. In general,
All right.
again,
real quick. I have a question for you. What year is it?
it's 2024.
What is that based on?
What you mean?
What
I don't
is
know.
the
I never did
year
research on
based?
how calendar years and all that stuff was constructed. I'm not familiar with it. You gotta edify me on that.
Let's the years of the like how we calculate what the years are. There's BC and there's AD. What does BC mean?
Huh?
What does
Say that again. What was the
BC
question?
mean? BC? What does
What, before
BC
Christ?
mean? Okay, excellent. So what is the year based on?
So wait. So on the point, because you could just make your point. You don't got to lead me down there. I can follow you. But if your point is, well, we still use BC as a measurement of time, that's proof that we tend to use religion over science. Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
you asked me where does yes, absolutely. You asked where does religion trump science, and then once we're given examples, you rejected them because they were just individual things. But this is a societal wide thing where it is 2024 everywhere in the world, and everywhere in the world is utilizing 2024 as to talk about when Christ died. Like we're literally using like a Christian calendar to talk about our everyday
Okay.
lives. This is an area in which societally wide, you cannot say this is
Yeah.
an individual thing
Yeah.
because it's not 2024 for me, but 1972 for you.
Also, Sean,
Okay.
that was a glorious example. So well
Okay.
done.
So I don't think it like okay. We use the calendar and we use and I don't even know if we actually like use that. Like I don't know which study actually use that. Like do paleontologists use that when they're doing research? Do they say this era is before Christ, or do they start using old prehistoric era? So I'm not sure. So if you're saying that they use that across disciplines that use time, like scientists and stuff like that, then that's something that's interesting. But that's still a small example of religion being trumped by science when we almost everything we do, it's backed by science, and the decisions that we make is like you guys are now always you guys are telling everybody go to therapy. That's a science. That's a science. Like you guys, like going to doctors, that's a science. We
Hold
majority,
on.
I would say
Hold on.
99% or can I just say this one thing? 95% of our decisions are based off of some type of science that we learn to be true, and results are high enough that we can say this is going to happen if I follow this science. Now,
That's
there
not
is some
true.
that not going to follow that, right? Is that fair? Y'all think I'm way off with that? You guys, because do you guys make more decisions based on science, or do you guys make more decisions based on religion on a daily basis? I don't think religion play a role in most decisions in people's lives on a
The,
daily
mon-
basis.
the monopolies on violence make more decisions based upon religion than they do on science. If the state actually cared about scientific evidence, then we would have had legislation that would have tackled climate control in the 1970s. Like this isn't like the decisions that are made societally wide that affect
That
people on a mass basis are usually made from an area of religion. This is why, like,
nah, that's
abortion
not
rights were
true.
brought up earlier, because abortion rights are made today based upon religion. They are not based upon science in any way, shape, or
No,
form.
no, no. That's not like this. Like these are unfair positions, right?
100% true.
Like
No,
you're
it's
trying to
not.
say like there aren't greedy people out there. Let's not talk about greedy people who say I don't even care if the world is going to destroy
We're
itself
talking
because
about
of climate.
wait. We're
I just
talking
want
about
money, and they're going to make decisions based on them wanting money, and they're going to put money in people's pockets to convince people to go in the path of which is going to give them more money at the expense of destroying our world. Religion don't have to even be in that conversation. You can inject in it and say, hey, there are
yes, it
some, but
does.
that's not
That's the
absolute,
point
right?
of it. No, that's 100% the point of it. The reason why, like, when it comes to religion and its inherent ties with capitalism and the greed of capitalism, the reason why people did things the reason why people justified things in order to create like the capitalistic wealth was religion. Like the reason why they were
Well,
able to
I'm
put black
so
bodies as
confused about how this has to do with women making better leaders, by the way. I feel
because
like the
all right,
plot has
so
gotten so
this is
lost.
we're pretty far. We're actually super far off.
all right, so y'all say y'all want to go with science, right? So let's resort because I could bring it back, but let's go back, right? You guys say science. So there's a study on PubMed that shows the difference between estrogen and testosterone and how it affects behavior, right? Do you guys agree that testosterone and estrogen can have an impact on behavior?
Not as much as
What's the
socialization.
PMID?
Huh?
Well, I don't even have to
Yikes.
read the study. I don't believe it has an effect on behavior as much as socialization does.
So you think socialization has a more impact over than our inherent nature?
Yes, because we're no longer instinct-driven creatures. We haven't been for
Yes,
centuries.
we are.
No, we're not.
How do you think marketing works? Marketing literally targets our innate instincts
it
to
targets socialization.
eat. Huh?
It targets
What do you say?
socialization.
It targets the what?
Socialization.
It targets socialization.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So, for instance, marketing for a long time used like really thin women as like its barometer for like beauty. Humans historically have preferred bigger women because bigger women signified a level of or bigger people in general signified a level of wealth because it meant you were able to afford food, right? This would be socialization. It's not that humans are like innately attracted to thin bodies, right? It's that we've been socialized to be via marketing campaigns and things like that. We don't target instincts at all when it comes to marketing. That would just be ridiculous.
So I think you're kind of confused. I think what they're targeting is sex and our sex drive, and whatever is appealing at that moment, that's what they're going to use. Like today, they have plus size models because now plus size may be the thing of attraction. Well, back in the day, it really wasn't that. And if it continues on, depending on what the masses see, they do the research, right? It's not like they're demanding it. They do the research. They see what the masses is attracted to, and they use sex.
But wait,
but
we
again,
don't subscribe to our sexual impulses either. If we subscribe to our sexual impulses the way you're saying that we would, like everybody would be fucking all the time. That's not the case. We're not animals. We don't just like jump on and like we're able to put
actually.
like,
you said science, so we are animals, unless you denying
Okay,
science
let
and
me
saying we're not
rephrase this.
animals.
Let me rephrase this. We are evolved creatures. We're evolved animals who are able to subdue our inherent instinctual
Impulses.
drive. This is why
Yeah.
animals will grape other animals, right? And
Hmm.
for traditionally, we know with humans don't do that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're
I could
not
agree with that
slaves to
position,
our
but just sorry,
we're not slaves to our instincts. Humans are not slaves to our instincts.
and I agree with you, but that doesn't mean they're not there. That doesn't mean I don't have that drive when I see a woman. I'd be like, damn, she's beautiful. I would love to have. But that doesn't mean I'm going to act on it every single time. But that instinct is still there, right? No, you disagree? That instinct is not there? Hello?
We're not instinct. We're not instinct driven, bro. Like society goes based upon things that are socialized towards a person. It is nurture and not nature.
So
Like we can see this
then
with studies of things like let's talk about this study with testosterone and estrogen. When given testosterone, when women um I want to say it was volleyball players. When women volleyball players were given testosterone, they played more aggressively as a placebo effect. And then they found out that they actually did not get testosterone. And they socialized
hmm
testosterone with more aggressive play than, than it actually would have, quote unquote, made them play.
But also
It's an
remember that
actual
an
thing.
increase in estrogen also leads to an increase in aggression. That's why I think it's all just nonsense. Yes, it is.
that's not like
This is.
when you compare them two, right? That's not really a thing. Like
Yes, it is.
estrogen tends to make you want to take less risk, right?
An increase in any hormonal imbalance. This is the problem. Is people think it's just the reason why you get aggressive when you get a pump of testosterone is just because there's more testosterone. No, it's because there's an imbalance in your hormones. So these imbalance in hormones cause you to act typically more irrationally because you have an imbalance in hormones. So an imbalance in estrogen can also lead, if we see this, I have direct studies that show that an imbalance in estrogen causes women, for example, to become more aggressive.
And when you mean imbalance, meaning a lower estrogen level?
An increase in estrogen. Like estrogen over your normal amounts.
So that one is kind of tricky. I've never read that one or a study that relates to that. Like I'm talking about ones where so for an example, they took away the sexual organs of the mice, men and women, and then they injected them with testosterone, and then they studied their behavior on risk and reward. Then they injected them with estrogen, and they studied their behavior, risk and reward. So they kind of isolate things, right? If you're just dealing with a person that says they're imbalanced, because if they're imbalanced in anything, they're imbalanced in multiple things, right? So it would be kind of hard to gauge which really the cause of it, right? Because you could be an imbalance in estrogen, and it could be because of lack of sleep. And when you get lack of sleep, you get more aggressive. You get a little bit more agitated or whatever. And that could be it. But it looks like, oh, since they have a higher form of estrogen right now, this is the reason why. But it's really no telling. But in the study, they remove as much as they can so we can just isolate and focus on how this hormone has an impact on behavior, right? And when they did that, it shows that testosterone will encourage people, men or women, to take more risk when there's a bigger reward, right? Because this is going to go back to leadership, right? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think we're not mice.
We're not mice. And also, estrogen and testosterone don't have really much to do with leadership. Like this isn't even the argument. I don't
So what
know
happens
why.
because
Go
you
ahead.
guys saying what makes men and women are better leaders, and then you guys saying science and all this stuff. So then let's use science. Let's
Well,
use the
wait,
study
just
of
really
the
quickly,
male and the woman
You said
the
that.
bodies.
hold on, really quickly. I pulled up these studies on risk taking, and the reason why testosterone is level to taking bigger risks is because it removes the part of your brain what was it specifically? What did it say? It removed the part of the where was it? Oh, it doesn't remove, but it affects the part of your brain that looks at negative consequences. So you
Yeah,
just don't.
which
That's
is
a
a beautiful
bad
thing,
thing.
isn't it?
No, what the fuck?
That's bad for
If it
leadership,
wasn't for
dude.
that, we would probably still be in the Stone Age, right?
What?
Like we had
No, we
to,
wouldn't.
like
What?
think about where that leads us, right? We're going to uncharted territories. We're going out in the wilderness. We're flying land and we're taming land.
No,
We're taking just think about
no.
Bro,
just
if
the
you're
people who
leading your
don't get
family,
appreciated.
though,
Go
with
ahead.
no
I'm sorry.
risk awareness, then people don't survive.
Huh?
That's not always a
Say
good
that
thing.
again.
If you are leading your family, let's say, into a situation where you have no risk awareness and you don't care what happens because you have no empathy, that's not good leadership because people perish.
It doesn't take away all risk awareness. It may lower it, right? We got to be fair. We got to approach this in good faith. And nor did I
Yeah, but
said this is how I
You're
would
not pushing shit in good
lead
faith
my
and
family,
fairness.
right? And I don't think, and I believe you just want to make a point, but I don't think like just
it's
I'm
think
gonna
always
need
a
good
you to
of me,
stop
great point.
mansplaining
and I'm gonna
everything to
think good
us
of
because
you,
you won't stop
huh?
talking. You
It
won't
was
stop
All
talking
right,
for
I'll
any
be
of us
quiet.
to interact with you.
My fault.
and it was a
I
great
apologize,
point. The
right?
people who
Go ahead.
the Homo sapiens sapiens who heard a noise in the bush and ran away survived over the Homo sapiens sapiens that just stood there and was like, "Oh, what's in that bush?" Like, because those people got eaten, right? Like the risk assessment needs to be something that you have as a human being. The reason why we went to other countries, we didn't, but the reason why white people went to other countries um and wreaked havoc, it wasn't to better mankind. It was because they were running out of food where they were, like because the
Really
soil.
quickly. Thank you to Valentine, or is it Valentine, for the Cash App that said "Forget these men." We're trying to continue, Sean.
You're good. It's just it was out of necessity that people went throughout the world, and we ended up furthering. Um, and we ended up furthering. It was actually the lack of risk assessment that prevented us from doing extra things rather than getting out of the Stone Age. Because you saw more
Wait, say that
technological
last part
advancements.
again.
Yeah, it
I
was the lack
apologize.
of
It
risk
went out.
assessments that holds us back from moving
Okay, like
forward
you
from the
said.
Stone Age.
Someone in the chat made a good point. You ever notice how white people be dying in horror movies because they always be going towards the danger?
Yo, that's so funny,
So
actually.
so like so I get the point that you guys are trying to make, but I don't think that you guys are looking at it as a like a whole, right? Like for an example, psychopaths. Nobody wants a psychopath as a neighbor. Not all psychopaths are murderers, killers, but in general, like you don't really want to deal with a psychopath, right? But and throughout
Most of
time,
them are
psychopaths
males.
found their huh? Say that again.
I was just pointing out that most of psychopaths are males. So, yeah.
I don't. That has
And
nothing to do with my
really
point.
should be
But
more
I
than just.
okay.
What's your point? What's your point?
Yeah. So like psychopath, like nobody really wants to deal with a psychopath. But throughout history, we found positions in which we benefit for having psychopaths. Like you want a
That's not the
psychopath to go to
same.
war for you because they're going over there and they're destroying everything that needs to be destroyed without having a second thought, no breakdowns, no nothing. They're just going for it, right? And I bring
Wait,
all that to say,
this
like when
isn't
you
the
guys
same.
are sitting there saying, well, the law, you're trying to like, I don't want to say demonize, but you kind of discredit the benefits of somebody who's willing to take on risks and saying it's better to not take on risk, or you coming from a position that it's better to not take on risk, I don't think that's actually shown in society. The people who tend to take the most risk were the
No,
people who tend
this
to
is
gain the most, right?
false. No, absolutely not. No, not
So
even
which,
close.
all right, in general,
The
which we're in
and
society that
it's lack of
where the
risk
power at
assessment.
B didn't take the most risk.
Yeah, capitalism. But
Then
the
we run
entire
everything.
point here, huh?
Don't capitalist country? You said the powers that be, right? You're trying to say any capitalist country. America's a capitalist country. Don't we damn near run
Took
the
no
world?
risk. Took no risk. But the point here is risk assessment. The lack of risk assessment.
Yes.
Like when you don't understand the consequences of your actions tend to be reckless and hold people back. This is why I talked about how getting away from the Stone Age was harder for some demographics than it was for others, because they were more focused on unaliving each other and just not running away from the bush rather than reading and developing language.
Can you reframe that in a different way? I couldn't follow. I'm sorry.
So the thing that has stagnated human progress has been the lack of risk assessment. The thing that has advanced
Okay.
human progress has been emotional intelligence, empathy, the development of an understanding of like different languages, like math is a language, the understanding of math rather than the understanding of how to unalive your neighbor.
Well, I think see you're conflating. It's almost like you're trying to demonize this thing. Let's not demonize anything, right? Let's not demonize any qualities that may be inherent in men, and let's not demonize any qualities that may be inherent in women. Let's just see how these like we can go on
I'm
for
just
days
telling the
on
truth.
back and forth on that. Like, you think risk assessment only has to do with killing people, or my fault? I don't want to say, but unaliving people. Is that your goal? Because
The
you keep
lack of
making
risk.
that
No,
point.
no, 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 no. I also think it has no, because that's not the only thing I've talked about. I also think it has to do with being unalived. Because if you have less of a risk assessment than me, then you're not going to understand what's happening when I start running and you sit still and go, "Why is everybody running?"
So what happens when you keep running and you keep running and you don't fight? What happens?
You survive. But
Eventually,
like
no.
the point,
Eventually, you die because
the
it's
point
only but so
here.
much you can run, right?
But I
You
do it.
become you
The only thing
become
I have to do. The only thing I have to do is be faster than you. But the point is that the risk assessment keeps you alive to live another day and to figure something out, to figure out how to survive. Uh,
and
I don't. We're going down a rabbit hole here, and I think you're just trying to like
I'm
justify
just
the
following your
lack of
arguments.
risk assessment.
No, I'm
Yeah,
literally following
it's
your arguments. I'm not justifying anything. Like, when I make a position and then I actually wish your opinion on it, you guys, yeah, not you guys, but maybe whoever I'm speaking to, like, you didn't went to unaliving people, you didn't went to being alive. If you want to just talk about risk assessment and the benefits of having somebody who's willing to take a risk versus somebody who's not, then we can do that without making it a bad thing. And the reason why we even speaking about risk
it's
assessment is
your
because we're talking about leaders, right? And sometimes leaders have to make moves that seem bleak, right? And that, but get us over the hill. Somebody, one of those cowboys or one of those Indians have to go to that top of the hill, and may be dangerous. We don't know what's over that top of the hill. It might be dangerous right over. As soon as you get it and die. But that information could be used to make a better decision moving forward. But also, when you get to that top of the hill, it could be land with fruits and vegetables all over the place. Correct? Like, there's a time and place for everything.
if you have
And you guys
enough fruit
saying
and
risk assessment,
vegetables where
there's no
you
place
are.
for it at all. And go ahead.
Yeah, you're not taking into effect human history in any way, shape, or form. Like if you have enough food where you are, you're perfectly fine. Like the advancements of human society have come from understanding languages, understanding each other, emotional intelligence. It does not come from risk assessment. It does not go like, again, the people who did not run away from the shaking in the bush and the like the rustling that we heard from the bush got eaten once whatever was in the bush jumped out of the bush. Like you're saying that risk assessment is needed because you believe risk assessment is needed without taking into account any form of human like history. And this isn't me just
Okay.
like making something up and going down like some random rabbit hole, you following my argument. This is your argument. You said that testosterone is good because it takes away risk assessment, which means that we'll discover more things and whatever else. I'm telling you, no, it is not. That is the opposite of how human evolution happens, because the people who do not have an instinct to run away from danger are in danger. That's how danger works.
All right. So let's go down your path, right? In human history, right? When human history, say there's an Eden, right? A garden of Eden, they got everything they need, right? There's going to be groups that don't have everything they need. That group is going to go and take the food and the resources from the people who do, right? Those people run. Then they create a new land and they do it again and they keep doing it and they keep doing it and they keep doing it. At some point, you're going to need somebody to say, all right, we're going to have to subject ourselves to danger. And at that point, they can fight for what they, for their resources. Like, all I'm saying is there's a time and place for it.
People
You're saying that
against
there's no
people.
time and place for it. That's crazy, because there are people out there who are willing to hurt you just because they had a bad day. You can't run from everything.
Yo,
There's a time when you have to run. I agree with you. There's a time when you have to run, but there are times when you can't run. When you have to say, forget what's going to happen. I have to fight and stand on my ground. And then those who tend to fight and stand on their ground tend to hold their resources, tend to get
it's
stronger.
not a
Because then
lack
now they
of
teach,
risk
like, all right,
assessment.
huh? Go ahead.
That's not a lack of risk assessment. You are assessing the risk. Standing my ground and stopping someone else from unaliving me is a risk assessment.
Hey, Sean, can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
What shape is Italy?
a boot.
All right, that's it for today's stream, morning
Oh my
stream.
God.
Holy shit, dude. I couldn't do it anymore. I physically couldn't. Plus, it's the end of morning stream anyway. That was sure something. Anyway, thank you to my co-hosts for being here. Thank you all, you wonderful femme voices. Feminism Friday will continue next week on Friday. So you guys can look forward to that. Hopefully we get some more conversations that aren't related to the Garden of Eden, apparently. Alina, do you have any final words? I know you do.
Get a heated blanket and adopt a cat.
At this point, you need to just do the TikTok shop.
You can't
That's
get
what
a
I
cat
think.
on TikTok
Yo,
Shop.
TikTok shopping cats would be crazy.
I mean, we
TikTok
Facebook
shop.
Marketplace kids, so want to be that crazy?
That's true.
Wait,
You can get
what? I'm sorry.
yeah. You've never seen
Yeah,
those
second
Yeah.
chance
people.
adoption.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah,
you can get a kid on the
it's
Facebook
dark.
Marketplace.
That's
That's a
crazy work.
fun rabbit hole for you to go down today, Sean.
Oh my God, what?
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it's
have
called
to look that up.
second chance adoption. Look it up on Facebook, and it
Second
will
chance
make you super,
adoption.
super sad. And yeah,
The
but
fact
it's
that
an
it's called
interesting rabbit
second
hole.
chance.
Yeah, they do walk off, like little mall type stage walking, and it's all bad.
Oh my God, what is happening? What are we doing?
That's just the world we live in,
We're
bro.
filming kids.
Chad, is this real?
All right. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. I will see everybody again for morning lives on Monday. And then during the weekend, we'll have some evening lives. And I should be back live this evening as well, as long as I can get some rest. I'm like fucking exhausted. But I'll
Can I
see
do a plug?
everybody. Yeah, do a plug.
So I am, I think, number 23, y'all, in the Live Fest contest. So I will be live for most of today to try to get into the top 20 so that we can make it to the second round. So please follow me and come through if you can. That's
Hey,
all.
y'all heard it here first. Well, probably not first, but y'all heard it here second. Go follow Alina so that when Alina goes live later, you guys can go to Alina's lives. I will see everybody on Monday for morning lives. Thank you guys for being here, and ta-ta.